Hello everyone, Scott Jayway from Crucible Custom Props, Nerfworks Lab, and all the forums here. This is a different little video. I wanted to show this off mainly because it's very rare to have the two of them together. I believe there's one other video I've seen on YouTube where it shows these two, but here they are. So this is Mal Reynolds pistol from Firefly. What we have in front of us are the Sidkit, which is from Nab's run on the RPF recently. And this is the Model 47, famously made by Badger on the Firefly Props forum. Now, I may be wrong with some of this information, so please correct me in the comments if you know differently. I believe, and this is what I've been told, but I'm not 100% sure, I believe that he owned the original prop and that this was based off, this was a very limited run, all machined brass, maybe it was cast brass, I'm not 100% sure, but it's made out of steel and brass, so it's very heavy, very accurate, and very nicely made. And the Sidkit is cast, a pewter alloy, also based on the measurements from the original prop. Now, I don't know the history of Sidkit's prop dimensions, and I don't know the detailed history on either one, really. But they are, for all intents and purposes, almost identical in every aspect. Oh, focus. There we go. In every aspect and dimension. I mean, they are spot on. The only difference is the barrel on the Sidkit is just very slightly longer. The front sight ramp is thinner. But other than that, the details are a little crisper, of course, on the Model 47. But other than that, they are the same size, etc. I mean, as you can see there, maybe you can. Let me see if I can get all that in frame. As you can see, that they are really, really close to a match as far as dimensions and everything. Now, the Sidkit being all metal is heavy, but it's not as heavy as this. The steel and brass are more dense. Little things like the hole in the butt plate is larger on that, and the magazine. Now, the Sidkit one I got as the kit from Nab's run on the RPF. I don't know, 2 years ago, and he had an option to have it plated, and I thought, and me and a few other people thought, that we were getting the plated versions as a kit. And when it actually came, it was just bare metal, no plating whatsoever. So rather than spend the time and money to send it back, I figured I'd try to get it plated here in Dallas, and took it to a very reputable plater. They had it for 9 months and couldn't get it to plate. They would plate it, and then a couple days later or a week later, it would blister and bubble off. And they had the biggest frustration with it. They just couldn't get it plated. And they said it wasn't pewter, so whatever the alloy was, it was something that they could not work with. Now the frame blued beautifully with super blue. I believe I used super blue or perma blue, one of the two. Anyway, it was a steel bluing, and it blued beautifully. It looks great. It looks like steel. Did come with the wood grips. The wood grips are not cut perfectly. They're pretty loose. It does have something that the Model 47 and 47A don't, is it has a moving hammer. Now, it's not the greatest mechanism in the world, as you can see. The springs are real weak, but it's pewter, so I've heard of these hammers breaking off. Mine has not had that problem. But it does have that feature, so that's kind of cool. It works about 50% of the time for the hammer to drop, but I wouldn't keep doing that anyway. Now, the other problem with this metal is the fitment was loose. It was really awfully, the tolerances were terrible. So I did a lot of refinement and finishing, and I used, of course, screwed it together and epoxied it together, and I replaced some of the small screws with longer screws and epoxied it together, so it's very, very solid. Now it did have the two front nuts that were cast, and they looked pretty. They didn't look that great, but in any case, they never came back from the platers. So actually, this morning, because I sold this, this morning I sold this. Well, I sold this, and this morning I machined these two knurled nuts brand new from brass. Used brass black on them, so it's complete now. It's ready to go. It's going to be packed up very soon and out the door. But since the two of them are here, I wanted to show them off. I show them together so that you could get an eye on what they look like in 4K. So here's the Model 47 on the bottom and the Sidkit on top. Naturally, since it wouldn't plate, I went for a painted route, and I went for kind of a half Serenity, half Firefly look, where it's a little bit more shiny, pun intended, and more brassy looking. Whereas the Model 47 is much more heavily weathered. I think in the show it was kind of a cross between the two. It wasn't as dark as this, because the reference photos I have from the props book or from the making of book show it to be a bit more of the brass shows through. But this is more heavily darkened than I think it should be. That could probably be taken down, but I'm probably just going to leave it. But give you a good look at the 47 as well. Let me try and get it focused here. Well, maybe not. Let's see. There we go. It's really beautifully made. The tolerances are tight. It even has Taurus grip strips on the trigger. It's just a nice thing. Oh, and this comes out. It's held in by a magnet, and it has a round in there. It's a dummy round, of course, but it does have a round in there, and it just gets sucked up there by a magnet. So this is the 47, and let me show you a close-up of the Sidkit. So they are very close. You'll notice right off the bat there's a screw detail holding the safety in back here, whereas the 47 has a push-through pin style. The only real brass on here are these pieces that I machined this morning. Otherwise, oh, and I believe that these were, maybe I'm wrong. These might have been cast screws, or I replaced these screws because the screws came with it were too short and they didn't do the job well. Try and get this all in frame here. So the Sidkit is really nice. I think it's the second best thing you can get. It's very solid once you epoxy it together and put it together well. And it's heavy. It feels great. I mean, the dimensions, I just can't get over how close they are. I mean, they're near identical, the two. And they're both supposed to be based off of the original prop, so they should be both very, very accurate, which is pretty awesome. I mean, if you put them right next to each other, everything lines up almost exactly, with the exception being that the barrel is shorter on the 47. So again, I'm just kind of repeating myself over and over. I just wanted to show you guys, all you Firefly fans, and everybody who's been curious about these two, wanting to see them up close. Hopefully this video is sharp and in focus. I'm going to watch it back, and we'll, if it's not, I'll just redo it. But hopefully it is. I think it is. So that's about it. You know what? In fact, let me just cut. You know what? Forget the cut. We're just going to take it handheld here, and we're just going to go get a nice overview of the two. There you go. Then we'll come in and take a real brief look at them. My camera here would cut off midway, but it did. So here we're starting up again. Going to show the difference between the two. And close up. As you can see, the casting has, you know, it's pretty clean casting overall, but the details, whereas this is a completely separate piece. This is all one piece here. What else? Mostly it's very much the same. I mean, they're really close. So let me flip them over here, get the other side, compare the two there. Here we go. Here's a overall shot of the two from this side. And we'll come in a little bit. Compare the two. Now I don't know who did the weathering on the 47, if it was the original owner or if it was Badger himself. But these are both very nice pieces. If it wasn't for the 47, I wouldn't be getting rid of the Sidkit, but it is going to a new home today. So I figured best to show everybody and give everybody a really close-up look. Oh, one thing, don't know if it was very apparent, was the barrels. A little bit different treatment. The Sidkit has more of a recessed crown on the muzzle, and this one has just a straight through. That I have no clue which one's more accurate or not. So anyway, guys, there you go. There's a look at the two best Firefly Mal pistol props you can get, and they're together. And hopefully everything was in focus and that you could see all the details in 4K wherever available. And I just hope you guys enjoyed it. Pretty neat props. So there you go.